From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt. Our colleague Noel is on an adventure, but will return shortly.
They called me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Shout out to everyone who has this playing on some kind of automatic shuffle or playlist as they are slumbering. Sleeping listeners, we welcome you to tonight's episode, which is all about dreams.
That's right. You may even be aware and awake at this point in the show, but very soon you will drift off. What you dream will be directly influenced by what you hear.
8 minus 6. We've had some fascinating explorations of dreams in the past when we're talking about this and related cognitive science off air. A while back, we did a 2-part episode on the concept of precognitive or clairvoyant dreams that from the perspective of their supporters, dreams that appear to predict the future, violating what we understand as the laws of linear time. And what we learned in those episodes, it's weird. I went back and listened to them, Matt, and reread the research.
Me too.
We went back and listened to those episodes and reread the research, and we found that the basic physiological or neurological phenomenon that we call the dream is understood in that we know it happens. We also know that other non-human animals dream. Do check out many video clips of octopuses that appear to be dreaming. And Dylan and you and I were having a little family time before we rolled, talking about how much we enjoy our animals dreaming, like our pets, our dogs and cats and so on.
It's pretty adorable, especially watching my dog dream, just watching how animated her body is, where she will physically be running. You can see her arms moving while she's laying on her side as though she's chasing something, and then making verbal sounds as though she's barking at something or upset about something even. It's fascinating. What makes you wonder what we really do when we're asleep. And if you sleep next to someone on the regular, maybe you've got some reports of what your sleeping life is like. But even they might be sleeping too. In the times when we're doing really wacky stuff, jogging in place, doing ninja stuff. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've seen this. I've seen birds dream. I've seen an octopus dream. I've seen one of my cats actually doesn't make a lot of appearances on here. The cat with 1,000 names. I've seen that guy went AWOL a few years back and then returned of his own volition. And ever since then, he's been having dreams where he's obviously back outside hunting things. And he also snores. And one time he snored so loudly that he woke himself up and then turned and shot a poison glance my way, screamed at me, and instantly went back to sleep.
Yeah, what did you do?
He's an
Why'd you wake me up?
Right. Another phenomenon. That's a good entry point because we know that dreams are functionally another version of reality that you experience in a specific series of brain activity stages. And that vividness, the appearance of concrete experienced reality, is why, again, if you sleep next to someone all the time, it is why your girlfriend might wake up mad at something you did in her dream. Classic trope.
Yep. I would just say that kind of thing occurs a lot. I think that's probably universally, and just your significant other.
Yeah.
Might look at you a little different when you wake up in the morning. You're like, what's going on? Everything okay? you're just a jerk.
Right, right. You're like, what? I just woke up too. And then they're like, yeah, well, I guess I'll see you on the lush, exotic coast of Belgium, asshole. And, what do you do but respond politely and wait for people to get back in sync with the waking world? We know more and more about brain activity during dream states, but get this, even on May 16th, Friday, 2025, human civilization still isn't sure why dreams are a thing. Now, Matt, you'll remember in our previous explorations, I think we landed the on a loose agreement that the most plausible answer for dreams, as and why they're a thing, it goes down to the concept of like defragging a hard
Mhm.
drive and encoding memory, and that's the most widely scientifically accepted explanation. But the debate continues, and back in 2021, we had a interesting conversation about a controversial ad campaign, and that is what led to tonight's episode. You see, despite the fact that people don't fully understand dreams and what this bizarre mental activity is, civilization in the past few decades has made stunning, and we would posit somewhat disturbing, progress toward manipulating dreams. And that's where our story begins.
Yes, it begins right after these words from our sponsors.
Here are the facts. What are dreams? All right, we're not going to belabor our earlier complaints about how cartoonish the idea of sleep is to begin with. Dreaming is literally and simply put a hallucinatory experience that occurs to some living organisms during sleep.
Yep.
It's hallucinating.
Yeah, it's extremely vivid images, sounds, all of your other sensory equipment. It gets activated via that old brain you got up in that head of yours. And it's pretty cool. It's awesome, actually. Dreams can be fulfilling, dreams can be terrifying, dreams can make you go out and try and fulfill some vision that you saw while you were sleeping.
Yeah, and lest we sound like we're casting aspersions on our much beloved pets, we've all been in a situation where your nervous system gets confused about which reality you're in, because dreams are truly the first virtual reality. That is what the series of hallucinations can be defined as. So everybody's had that moment where you just sort of feel like you're falling and, huh, right?
Yeah.
Or you need to move and you can't. That sleep paralysis. Check out our episodes on that. Please do keep it. Please check out our two-part episode on on whether dreams have really predicted the future. For now, for us, the most important thing to remember about this mental state is the following. Like you alluded to, Matt, dreams have always mystified humanity, and they've created a great deal of religious thought. And they've also determined many real world events. Wars have been inspired, right? Because somebody woke up having a vivid dream that stayed with them upon waking. Religions have been founded upon this. Civilization has hinged on these images from the dark. And,
I've written multiple songs because I
uh,
woke up and I just couldn't get a thought out of my head that was somehow conjured in those moments when I was asleep. And I've done that with drawing as well, where you just wake up and you're like, what is this thing? I have to get it down. Whatever message was trying to be conveyed to me by myself, I got to put this down.
yeah, actually, I think I told you a few years back, I do most of my best writing in the few hours when I'm asleep. And then I wake up and go, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's
all right.
the just pours right
Right.
out.
Or that old Mitch Hedberg joke, he has to keep a notepad by his nightstand because otherwise he wakes up in the middle of the night, doesn't have a way to write it down, and has to tell himself the joke wasn't that good.
Well, because then it'll be gone. That is the thing,
The
right? With
encoding. Yeah.
dream journaling and all that stuff. If you don't
Hmm.
get it down immediately, your brain is going to start filling in gaps and just make up other things, which could be great. if you're in a creative process, right?
Sure. Yeah. We can also, how about this? Later on in tonight's episode, we'll teach you a little pen and pad free mnemonic encoding device to help you remember your dreams when you wake up. And it does work. It's weird, but it's worth trying. So, like, Matt, you and I have a lot in common with countless authors and musicians. Mary Shelley, right? Frankenstein. Paul McCartney credits a lot of his musical endeavors to experiences in his dream state. We also know this is not restricted to what we would call quote unquote creative pursuits, even though I think science is inherently a creative pursuit. Scientists like Niels Bohr have made some of their greatest discoveries while literally asleep. As we all know, Bohr, who is considered the father of quantum mechanics, he repeatedly throughout his later life credited his discovery of the structure of the atom to a dream. He said, look, I was just having a regular day, regular night. You know, he ate his soup and rutabagas or his quesadilla, whatever Niels Bohr was eating, and he goes to sleep, regular guy. He starts dreaming about atoms, and he vividly sees it is burned into his brain, the nucleus of the atom, the electrons, and the passages they spin in orbit around it, the way that planets spin around the sun. And he wakes up and he goes, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Well, if we think about dreams as specifically defragging the hard drive that is your mind and your neural connections, and then we imagine that every thought and every reference, every word, all of the things that you have to be able to produce as language and to have thoughts are connections between different neurons, right?
Sure. Yep.
And if we are defragging, we've maybe learned about 17 different things in one day, and then we've got some older memories packed in there that we defrag the right way in our dreaming state, and that connection gets made without us being consciously aware of it. And then you wake up, and now it's there.
And riddle me this, because this verges onto something fascinating that has still yet to be explained. Let's walk through it. So we know that different avenues of receiving external stimuli process memory in different ways. Smell and taste are extremely powerful. That's right. That's why right now, if we ask you, friends and neighbors, to recall your favorite smell, it's going to pop in your head. It's not just going to pop in your head. A series of favorite smells are going to pop in your head along with associated images and maybe the sense of time in which you experienced it. So this is what mystifies me, folks. Why are dreams often not reported in terms of smell or olfactory stimuli?
I don't have that thing. I can't think about a smell.
Most people don't dream or don't encounter smells when they're dreaming. And if you do, please let us know, because you would be a fascinating outlier, right?
Yeah.
This is something straight. I think it goes down to the way smell and taste encode into the brain. I really
Yeah.
think that's it.
Sorry, I was gonna make a joke about, if you're getting actively Dutch ovened while asleep and you're unaware of it, then you
Yeah.
could probably sense smell while you're dreaming.
Yeah, don't call us. Call the the
Poison
poop
control.
police.
Yeah,
The poop, right. Law and Order, poop police. Boom, boom.
Oh wow, you're gonna get sued.
No joke left behind. Anyway, so yeah, I love that, man. In these and other cases, though, we do see the science of dreaming at play, right? And you and I have known each other for quite some time, and we've talked consistently over the years about the nature of lucid dreaming. Don't make fun of us. Matt and I do share our dreams with each other. We have also encountered lectures and courses and even technology that's designed to inculcate lucid dreaming, to help you understand the symbols or interpretations of what you see, journaling exercises like you mentioned. This is valuable stuff, and thing that I'm not going to speak for you, but the thing that bugs me often about skepticism in this regard is that a lot of the more skeptical of us will dismiss dreams as little more than like a knock on cool side effect of evolution, right? But then we have to ask what happened if Matt forgot the song that he learned in his dream? What happens if Niels Bohr just forgets the structure of atoms? What happens if that legendary sleepy little patent clerk Albert Einstein ignores his own slumbering visions on the principle of relativity and the nature of the observable universe?
Yeah, then all of our sleep just becomes blackness, nothingness, the void itself.
I'd be fine with that, man. There's a reason I don't sleep often. It's so weird.
Oh no, I
Uh,
get it. That is something we should talk about. Dreams can also be the worst thing ever, especially if you've got traumatic experiences in the waking world. I've been there. I think maybe a lot of us have, where the moment you fall asleep, it is feels like torture
it's
almost
go
because you're just
time.
back there.
I also, you know what I hate? This may be symptomatic of a larger mental issue, but I can't remember if I told you this. The majority of my dreams exist in an interconnected universe. They're aware of each other, they reference earlier stuff. It's weird.
Well,
It's
you are
usually fine.
an ancient vampire, right? And what else?
It's the spirits of the dead. No,
Hey,
seriously, it's weird stuff, man. Like a
that is
blue.
cool. That's like a superpower, though, because you could build that universe, like here, if you wanted to.
Man, I don't know. Like I haven't told you all of the stuff. It's the lore is deep, and like I want to reboot
Okay.
uh, again. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about the fact that people have been interpreting dreams. Human civilization has been trying to understand what the heck this is and why it exists since before humans figured out how to write things down. And it's a thriving industry today. I don't want to put you too far on the spot, but do you ever have a dream that sends you to the internet? Do you ever just do a quick Google on dream symbolism?
Oh, generally no. But I have weird stuff. Like the other night, Jimmy Fallon and Chloe Fineman and I were hanging out, and for some reason, drinking absinthe. Like, but that was
Hmm.
cool. It wasn't haunting. It wasn't scary. It was just great.
Yeah, it's just a moment that happens. You know what I mean? Also, folks, from just a production perspective, please respect your brain. It is doing new shows every single time you fall asleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not all of them are going to be terrible. Some will be great, and then some will be like, I had one where I had to drive from one dream to another, and time is tricky in this virtual reality, but it was literally 2.5 hours that I remember where I'm just driving and listening to light instrumental music.
That's beautiful, man.
I don't know, man.
Well, it's a weird thing because time doesn't work the same in dreams. I don't know if
Right.
anybody has experienced this, but I took a nap. In total, it was 15 minutes. Just like lay
Hmm.
your head down. For me, it
Sure.
was literally in between two meetings because I
Hmm.
just couldn't keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
Laid down. I thought it was days in a dream. Like
Yes.
I thought so much time had passed. But it was no, it was less than 15 minutes. So
Hmm.
it is a weird thing that we can perceive that stuff even when in this space, this reality, it's only
Hmm.
been a couple minutes.
Yeah. I remember similar experiences. I think we've all had some time or linear time parkour in dreams, which is one of the coolest branches of the concept of dreaming. And there is a modern, scientifically respected version of dream study, oneirology. Oneirology. It's a branch of psychology, and they're not really trying to do the Freudian Jungian interpretation of, what does this blue tiger mean? right? Why does it pursue you? Or things like that. What they're doing instead is exploring the process of dreaming and further attempting to correlate the nature of the lived experience of the dream to the activity in the human brain on a physical neurological level, and then also to understand how it relates to memory formation, how it may relate to mental disorders and other, I don't love the term, but other divergent conditions. It's how it's often put in literature.
That word reminds me of Oni, the
Mm,
concept of Oni. Isn't that a
yeah.
specific type of yokai, like a
Yes, it
Japanese
is.
demon,
You're right.
which makes you think of nightmares, which
Hmm.
makes me think of like the when we looked up the origins of that concept. Wow. Okay.
Nightmares. That sleep paralysis episode was a banger. And also interesting, if we want to go Jungian just for a moment, I believe, and I'm not gonna Google it. Let's see if I'm right. I believe that an Oni is subterranean, troglodytic. I believe they're
Oh God.
found in caves and deep places, which Jung would just love.
Deep within the recesses of the folds of your mind.
Dude, Jung would be okay if you had to pick between hanging out with Freud or hanging out with Carl Jung. I'm going to say it, I would probably go Jung. Freud feels like a
Hmm.
very smart dude who could be a lot.
I'm going with Freud so I can get to Bernays.
He'll say, "Why do you keep asking about my nephew? Oh, we're supposed to sit over here and lick these cigars and not think of penises." Freud was crazy, dude. I feel like enough time has passed, right? That I can say that. He was he was yes, he
He was
proposed
projecting. Is that what you're
he
saying?
proposed and projected a lot of interesting concepts, but and look, a lot of people struggle with substance abuse, but that guy apparently loved cocaine.
Who doesn't? Oh, I'm just joking. I don't know.
Us, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
Me neither. I think I'll leave that experience unexperienced. I'll just read Freud, I guess. Anyway, so fellow oneurologist in the crowd, awake and asleep. We know this sounds a little dry, maybe disappointing, but please trust us. There is bizarre stuff ahead. We have been fascinated by the concept of, well, you'll see. We'll pause for a word from our sponsors. Here's where it gets crazy. All right, there turns out, right, it's an ancient science interpreting dreams, figuring out what dreams mean. There are, in recent decades, fascinating experiments into the nature of dreams. The more passive stuff is observing what happens in a brain when a dream occurs. And then you get to the idea of enabling that dream world or the dreamer to communicate with the waking world. And then you get into futzing with the dream. You know what I mean?
Oh
Touching
yeah,
it, just a little what dreams may come.
yeah.
Underrated film. Loved it.
Wet dreams. Wait,
Oh,
never
wet
mind.
dreams may come. No, we're
I'm
keeping it.
sorry.
We got to keep it.
Sorry.
That's great. And
um,
everybody knows how we spelled that. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Well, the thing that I think fascinated us pretty recently, back in January, we found this story about a company that was trying to do this kind of stuff. How do we unlock the power of dreams, right? And how do we even potentially connect people via dreams, the way we would connect people in an alternate reality space or a virtual reality
Hmm.
space by making their senses via Wi-Fi signaling see each other, hear each other, and potentially even feel each other.
Right. Which avenue of sensory stimuli can we hack? You know what I mean? Is where we get down to it. This is a response to an ancient thing that is problematic for a lot of scientists, and I will confess in my various misadventures, it has been problematic and difficult for me to explain as well. Folks, you have perhaps felt that you have communicated with a loved one or an acquaintance. What's that old trope? There are no strangers in dreams. Someone reached out to you. And this idea is ubiquitous. It
Yeah.
exists across time and cultures. And modern science overwhelmingly says, claptrap, hogwash.
They do. Until again, this group came along and said, "Well, let's at least give it a try. Let's see if we can make it happen." And by the way, the person, acquaintance, unknown, whoever it is that we feel is communicating to us in our dream, that can be a living person, that can be a again, like for some reason Jimmy Fallon was all about like encouragement and stuff in my dream. I don't know why. I don't know the dude, but he was. But he could also be somebody who's passed on already, right? Or
Mhm.
maybe somebody from history that we know and love, or somebody we've never met before, right? Or could never have met.
Right. Because we're also immediately, you, the observer in the dream, you are gifted with dream logic, which
Yes.
means when you meet someone, that's why we say no strangers, really. When you meet someone, you immediately know key things about them, key visceral things.
Yep. And they you, because they are you. You are you, and they are you.
Uh,
We are us.
uh,
What's happening? Okay, so let's get to this company.
yes.
It is in California. It's called REMspace, REM space. That's one word. Uh, they put out several studies and a bunch of PR stuff. To be
Mhm.
fair, like a lot of this
A
is PR stuff,
lot of PR stuff. A lot of PR.
including like diagrams and videos that
So much so that I believe both of your faithful correspondence folks struggle to find the actual, you know what I mean? Like
but it sounds awesome. So let's
it it,
just
it
dive
sounds cool.
in.
Dream with us. Okay, Matt, what's happening?
Well, they're able to connect two people who are experiencing some form or level of lucid dreaming to then be able to send one signal from one dreamer via Wi Fi through their system out to the other side to another human being sleeping far, far away, also lucid dreaming. Then that person received a signal from the other person and was able to then repeat it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're using, and again, this is a startup, and it is hoping to monetize what we're exploring. That's an important thing for later. This experiment uses, as you said, Matt, just your average brain monitoring equipment. The server and the Wi-Fi are key. The researchers use the brain monitoring equipment to watch in real time the action and activity of the brain. And then when they receive the signal that indicates the participant has entered a hypnagogic or lucid dream state, then the server, not the researchers, the server creates a word in like some sort of specific quote unquote unique language word, which is how we know this is PR and not science.
Yeah.
And and so it said the server creates this thing and it sends it to our hypnagogic or lucid sleeper via earbuds that they're wearing as they enter that state. And they are still dreaming, but they can still hear the outside world. So they repeat the word in whatever the hell a unique language means. And the
But not
server,
out loud. It's not like they're sitting there sleeping and then they say it out loud in their body. They dream it somehow, and
yeah, they
then
clock it
the researchers understand that that's what happened.
because they can see according to what we understand, the brain monitoring equipment indicates a change such that you would know someone has received and repeated to
Yes.
themselves internally information. And now, of course, if we're at that state of lucid dreaming or if we're between full wake and full sleep, then yeah, it's possible that someone just went, someone went, haha, da, da, see, or whatever. But that's not what we're looking for. And so, small window of time passes in the real world. right? I know
Hmm.
we were getting very Inception with this. The second sleeper has entered their lucid dream state. They receive that saved message from the server, and then they wake up and they repeat the word that they learned communicated in a dream state uh, to a dream state, yet still created and entirely dependent upon the server and the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's where it's a little weird. I think when you look at some of the materials that REMspace has put forward, it feels as though, it sounds as though, if you don't get dive too deep into it, as though the lucid dreamer created a message and sent it to the second lucid dreamer. And they were lucid dreaming simultaneously. And it feels as though, at least to some of their materials, that it's happening in real time. Like the sleepers are just communicating with each other. But that is not, at least, what we understand to be happening. It is all their tech, basically, that is doing
Mm,
all of this stuff. Um, but potentially cool if you had two-way comms in dream states.
I
I
don't
mean,
know, man.
no. Well, I think in the episode when we first brought it up, we talked about long distance relationships and how interesting it would be to actually
Yes.
connect. You know, there's a
Hmm.
saying. If I don't know if anybody else has this experience, but like saying goodnight, going to bed, and saying "I'll see you in the dreamscape" or "I'll see you out there in the dreams," and
Hmm.
you say it as a hopeful thing, a sweet thing. But
Sure.
what if you could actually flick on a machine, put a little something on your head, and hey, now
Hmm.
we're out there in dream world together.
Interesting that you would bring up that part specifically, because that aspect of our conversation stayed with me as well. We know for this, right? Like what we're describing, according to the PR, is the ideal next step for REMspace. But what we see, even with this tech reliant proof of concept, is the first known instance of communication between people whom are both in a dream state. A sender and a receiver exist, right? This also follows up on an earlier experiment from 2021, which was a big year actually for dream science. Uh, Researchers, well, there was this sort of Justice League or Avengers or X-Men of researchers from multiple countries who collaborated. And this is led by a guy named Ken Paller, a cognitive neuroscientist over in Illinois at Northwestern. And they are able to create dialogue between a person in a dream state and a fully awake scientist. It's not a very long conversation at all, but it is interesting. I don't know if it's long enough for us to do a classic, like, stuff they don't want you to know reenactment, but maybe we just do the lines together.
Well, no, let's do it like this. Okay, I will play the scientist. If you
Copy.
don't mind, Ben, please play the sleeper. Here we go. A scientist says 8 minus 6.
8 minus 2.
Eureka!
Blah, blah, blah. Guys, what happened? What happened? What happened?
I was so asleep, man. I was sleeping, definitely, man.
And shout out to all of us who are so impressed that someone did math while asleep.
Yeah, I don't even know if you're supposed to be able to do that, man.
Yeah, we have to check with the sleep police.
Yeah.
I love how we're just inventing police departments now. We got poop police, we got sleep police.
Uh-huh.
We
We
gotta find
got
a third.
Java police.
Mm-hmm.
They said that you've had enough coffee as he drinks a monster coffee.
Java police. Arrest this
Oh, that's a
tan.
good one too. Ooh.
Oh yeah, guys.
Mm,
We are drinking canned coffee
yep.
because
It's just not the same when it's in a cup. But if it's in a can and it goes, psst, you
I
know that
dreamed that
coffee's
you said that. so so okay, look, 8 minus 6. Our scientist Frederick Dr. Frederick says 8 - 6 to the sleeping person, and our patient says, I hear you, and here is the answer. So I know this is not necessarily phrased as an interrogative. It's just the 3 words, 8 - 6. And the sleeper, despite not being awake, immediately recognizes, interprets, analyzes this as a math
Yeah.
conversation, and then produces the result.
Yeah. Well, amazing. So it's not the same as what REMspace claims to have done, but it is pretty cool to be able to send a message out into that dream world and then get a response. It kind of reminds me of some of the sci-fi tropes where you've got somebody going through like a portal or something,
Mhm.
or even someone going down into the depths of the ocean and there's still communication between the surface world and then the depths of the ocean, where
Mhm.
just someone else is exploring out in an unknown, unseen place. And
Mhm.
then people back in, the waking real, whatever we call real world,
Mhm.
can then talk to that person and see what they're discovering. I don't know. Sorry, I'm having a hard time even like phrasing these things correctly, but I'm
No, I feel you.
imagining the dreamscape as another world to be explored, another reality to be explored.
100%. Yes. Like the high heavens, the deep ink of space, and
Mhm.
the ocean and the seas. It also reminds me of, I don't know if there are any fans of the television series Fringe in the crowd, but
Yes.
but remember, dude, yeah, I know we are, but remember the entangled typewriters. This is a slight spoiler. 3, 2, 1. These people and characters and entities are able to communicate across various planes of existence through putting a mirror next to a special kind of typewriter and typing one thing in their reality and then seeing a message typed out on the mirror.
Ugh.
It's so cool. So cool.
That show gives me frisson when I think about it. It really
Well
does.
done.
It really
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yo, and Meadow's excited too.
Meadow is on board. We also know that depending on how further research works out, REMspace and other startups or initiatives like it, some of which, by the way, are federally or militarily funded, they may pave the way for brand new approaches to things like treating PTSD or anxiety, along with some other stuff that we'll talk about after the next ad break. We do have to, Matt, we got to say it. Michael Raduga is the founder and CEO of REMspace, and he is pretty ambitious in his statements about it. He says the following in multiple PR communiques, quote, "Yesterday, communicating in dreams seemed like science fiction. Tomorrow, it will be so common we won't be able to imagine our lives without this technology. Ambitious, man's reach must exceed his grasp, else what's a heaven for?" And however the old poem goes. But also, full disclosure, Raduga has made some controversial moves in the past. He did put a chip in his own skull.
Yeah, he gave himself brain surgery with a Home Depot drill. And it wasn't from Home Depot, but a drill that you would use for wood
Yeah.
and stuff. And
Yeah.
then he had to get it removed because, he put a chip in his own brain at his own house
Which
and almost died, like in
we
multiple ways.
admire. Well, officially, he said personal reasons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think being alive is a personal reason.
Ambitious, this man is.
Ambitious this man is. All to say, when you think about it, it's an exciting time to be asleep. Weird. Exciting doesn't always mean good. What if we take a break for a word from our sponsors here, and then as they say on the LA Leaguers, we get to the chicken. I think there's something you and I are both excited slash terrified to explore.
Let's do it.
And we're back. This is the thing that stayed with us the most and really informs our exploration tonight, Matt, as you and I alluded to earlier, the same innovations that allow for potential anxiety or trauma treatment, the same innovations that allow for potentially better communication between people, also inevitably, just like nuclear research, lead us to the dark side, the troubling stuff. What if by the same methods used to observe and help people in a dream state, what if we could manipulate it? Put a thumb
Yeah.
on the scale.
What if that scientist, instead of saying 8 - 6, said, drink Coors Light?
Yes, yes, exactly. And I loved when we talked about this back in 2021 in our Strange News program. The year before that, in 2020, researchers over at MIT, which is a kind of good school, they they're gonna be so mad. All right, MIT's fine, A minus school. I'm kidding. Oh my gosh, they're gonna kill us. Anyway, media. They have a thing called Media Lab Fluid Interfaces. This is a group that created something called targeted dream incubation, or TDI. The technology or the approach, the methodology they deploy is new, but the concept isn't. You can read some great work by a journalist named Sophia Motino about this, writing for Science. And she just describes the following. Dream incubation is, in my opinion, something familiar to anybody who's played a video game too long before bed. It's where images, sounds, repetitive sensory cues shape the content of the hallucinations you have in your sleeping state. And Sophia goes on to note this is an ancient game. People throughout history had rituals, techniques to try to change the content of your dreams. That's why in the Western world, that's why people pray before bedtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let God shepherd me through the night and things like that.
Well, one of the reasons people do a lot of research before bed, meditate often, create art, write songs. I mean, it, some of the things that you do right before bed tend to find their way into your dreams, at least most vividly.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes sense because if we encounter a sort of sedimentary accretion theory of stimulus before you leave the waking world, then you could argue that the stuff at the top, the soil at the top, is going to be the things that the shovel hits first, right?
Or last. It could be either, right?
Right.
And it just depends on, we don't really know if the brain goes from the bottom up, like what we learned today. Okay, going from the bottom up to the top of the thing, the last thing you learned,
Mhm.
or does it start from the top, as you're saying, and go down?
And we don't know whether certain, let's call them elements. So I'm loving this analogy, by the way, may have more weight, right? And metaphorical weight because of the variables of previous holes dug, right?
Yeah.
Previous shovels, things that this is where we enter recurrent content, right? The nightmares that haunt you, or we're just going to let that one go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just your brain going, oh, crap. We really haven't dealt with that yet. We're trying to, but we can't yet.
So we know that people would, like you said, Matt, people would meditate, people might do a creative act like journaling, writing, sculpting, painting, sketching, praying, of course. And sorry, I got that wrong. I'm not an expert on the Christianity stuff. It's now I lay me down to sleep, not God shepherd me through the night. I think that's a different religion. It's now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
I mean, that's one of the prayers. There's so many, dude.
What's the cool one?
Valhalla, accept me this night. No, I don't know.
To the glorious dead, and also me falling asleep on the couch watching Police
Yes.
Academy 5.
You hold the scepter, we hold the key. You are the devil, we are the D. I think that's how it goes.
That's amazing. And that's a tribute.
Yeah.
so so shout out to the fellow nerds who enjoyed that. Oh, Noel would have had a chuckle at that too. So, all right, people would also use drugs, right? And this we see reflected in things like the concept of sipping a nightcap or the an alcoholic beverage before bed, or for instance, people who ingest cannabis, right? Or take any number of pill medications, etc., right? Even
Lunesta.
Robitussin. Yes, yes, exactly. Which, what an amazing word, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like it does something.
It does.
It does something, but it sounds like it's a real word, and it's very much not a real word.
Yeah. Sleep drive to Kroger. That's what it does.
Right. Oh, and then if you ever misbehave on social media, blame it on the Ambien. Anyway, so TDI, targeted dream incubation. It is in this sense, before the course thing we're about to get into, it is the combination of an app and a wearable sleep tracking sensor device. Things that you and I were, I think, both contemplating for a while. Did you ever pull the trigger on that?
Like,
The lucid dream goggle thing?
oh no, I never tried it. I would love to though. I would really, really like to do that.
It'd be interesting. If you want to read more about this, folks, check out the paper that the people at MIT, I'm laughing, Dylan sent us a joke, check out the paper the people at MIT wrote called Dormio, a targeted dream incubation device. So yes, we talked about the good stuff. The technology in this paper can plausibly help address issues by redirecting your dreaming mind, getting you to dwell on something else. But it turns out the world of dream research, it includes some potential nightmares all its own. All right, so in step with all of this related, interesting, inspirational research we've been exploring, multiple organizations are looking into the concept of engineering dreams not for mental health, but instead to sell you stuff. And Matt, I don't know where do we start unpacking this? What's the one that stood out the most to you?
The stuff that stood out the most was the Coors Light or the Coors, Molson Coors, whatever it is, the companies that wanted. It was, look, we have to put this out there. It was part of a commercial campaign. Okay.
Yes.
So what we're telling you was kind of happening, but it was also a tongue-in-cheek commercial thing, and it's hard to know where the line is between what the company actually wanted to do and then what they wanted to do just to sell more of their product.
And of the 18 people that we are going to reference in the study, all consented to participate with advanced knowledge of what was happening, and
Yes.
12 were paid actors.
Yes, absolutely. So, but let's just get into this is what I recall from our previous discussion. The hope that at least Coors had was that if they played sounds of nature, of certain types of water, of a chilly landscape, the imagery of mountains and clouds and all of these things, that it would make the user, let's say the experiencer in the
Oof.
dream state,
Yeah.
think of Coors, Tap the Rockies, Coors, Ice Cold, Forged in Ice. All of these concepts that have been a part of the Coors mythos. Thinking of these things would have them want and desire Coors.
Coors, the beer is so good you can drink it with your mouth.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting to me. The concept of not directly stating within somebody's dream and pumping in audio that says drink more Coors, drink more Coors. It was, let's give them the experience of the things that they associate positively with our product. Maybe they will then purchase it.
Right. And they had to be quite careful with the idea of, as you're saying, explicitly telling people to go buy something, right?
Well,
They wanted to avoid that part.
that would fall under subliminal messaging and a bunch of other things that would probably
Mhm.
get sticky legal wise.
Right.
This is more fun science.
This is more, ah, look at us, fellow humans. We're a corporation, but we're cool. In fact, we're not cool. We're cores. So this TDI, targeted dream incubation, like you said, we could call it an ad campaign or ad stunt, they might call it, or an activation, heaven forfend. It's the 2021 Super Bowl, right? One of the most pivotal moments in advertising year over year. So there are almost 100 million people watching the Super Bowl one way or another, and they wanted to Coors wanted to alter dreams of viewers the night before the game. They wanted them to dream about Coors and then buy Coors while they're watching the Super Bowl the next day. That's the idea. That's what they're already selling the idea, right? And this was, I love that you pointed out it's already kind of a story, right? It's a story we're telling. And even, the interesting thing, and I'm sure they talked about this, the interesting thing is it increases visibility enough, just the reporting about this, that people are going to be thinking of course, even if they're not one of the 18 people who participated in this study.
Yeah. It's a little weird. It feels like a Cramblin production. Seen that reference? Anybody? You've
Yeah,
seen the
yes.
Detroiters? Okay, cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It is a Cramblin production. Detroiters is so good. Please check it out, folks. And join us in pushing for a season 3.
Please.
Yeah. And then we have a lot of examples from the world of gaming. Xbox used TDI in what you could arguably call as another ad stunt to have pro gamers primed to dream of their favorite video games. PlayStation latched on to something we've already known about Tetris. They said we can create a Tetris game based on this sleep study. And the study shows that if you play enough Tetris, you dream about Tetris. And I think we've all been there at one point or another.
Well, Scientific American has talked about that.
That
They're like
Tetris study?
Tetris dreams, yeah. Like why
Yeah.
are there why do we all have Tetris dreams? What's
Hmm.
going on?
Yeah. You can go to science.org. The study that launched 1,000 ships comes out in October of 2000, replaying the game, hypnagogic images in normals and amnesiacs. Okay, the title is something we're going to move past, but
Yeah.
uh, but it is an experience, right? And it shows us a lot about how dream incubation can work because Tetris just has a small set of shapes that move in a predictable pattern, and you are participating in that pattern. You are programming yourself to experience a routine yet interactive series of stimuli.
See, the next thing is, can we alter perception within those Tetris dreams so that we become each individual piece as we plunge faster and faster down towards whatever shape we're becoming and making?
Ah, interesting. I like it. The
I don't know.
Gestalt argument there. Yes. Tetris, we're hanging out later if you guys want to kick it. We know that the vice president of marketing at Molson Coors, again, this is back in a few years ago, praised this beverage company's strategy and said, "This is a never before seen form of advertising." I don't know why he sounds like a British villain, but critics agreed with the VP at Coors, and they also said, not only have we never seen this before, we never want to see it again.
Oh yeah. No. Well, imagine what happens if all of us at some point in the near future have access to our dream world via some app, via some device that was pretty ubiquitous, and it's just something that becomes popular and now we're all doing it. Imagine if those dreams can be invaded with ad space, right?
Yeah,
What happens?
right. In 2021, a group of around 40 real life onerologists, dream researchers, they got so concerned about this that they penned an open letter calling, most importantly, for regulation of what they see as an emergent industry. And as you were saying, Matt, their concerns are pretty valid. The idea is, look, human civilization is already monitored at a much more invasive level than at any other point in history. So dreams and your inner thoughts for now remain the last sacrosanct areas, the last truly private places. And we know external stimuli like sound, smells, lights, speech, that can affect what you're dreaming about. For example, falling asleep while watching a movie or listening to your favorite podcast. A lot of people are thoroughly creeped out by having some external entity seek to not just infiltrate, but to control your dream state, even if only briefly, even with the best of intentions. This is my house. You know what I mean? We don't take
Yeah.
walk ins.
We already know the Trisolarans can get in there without us knowing. So,
Right.
if we can avoid them,
Hmm.
yay, probably not. But
Yeah.
we could probably legislate out of letting, I don't know, Microsoft hang out in our brains and tell us to buy things.
Right, right, right. Is there a world with no walls to face? Just to keep going with that three-body
Hey, I love
problem
it.
stuff.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So we know we want to give a shout out to a cognitive scientist, Adam Haar. Adam Haar points out he was a participant in this open letter, and he speaks to some of our concerns. He points out the second big issue with dream advertising is that, quote, people are particularly vulnerable to suggestion when they are asleep. He's not some guy outside of a deli that they asked about this. He might have been outside of a deli, but before he did any of that, he invented a glove that helps with dream targeting. It helps to steer people towards specific subjects during certain stages of the sleep cycle. And to your point, Matt, by 2021, this guy had already been contacted over a number of years by Microsoft, other giant corporations, and oddly enough, two separate airlines. They wanted him to help them work on dream incubation. He was not super opposed to this. It's fascinating research. He's a brilliant person, but he is a moral person, such that he feels uncomfortable monetizing this technology in his work for the purpose of advertisements. I mean, let's think about it this way. You're listening, if you're awake, and you and Matt and Dylan and myself, our waking brains have all these tricks and barriers that allow for things like skepticism, analysis, and critical thought. Like, Matt, when you hear a commercial these days, do you immediately say, crap, I have to buy this now?
Yeah, I say, Google, buy me that thing.
That's why you have so many that things.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Thing one, thing two, there are more
Boxes of
things,
things.
boxes of things, and stuff. So this is a mission critical point because those same processes, whatever you prefer, they don't work the same way when you're asleep. So you could hear us while you're awake saying something like, behold, the lush exotic coast of Belgium, brought to you by Illumination Global Unlimited. Buy a ticket today. You could hear that over and over while you're awake, and it's going to give you pause because, Belgium, great. Belgium is a fantastic place. It is not known for its lush exotic coast. That makes no sense.
But there are people gonna wake up and they're gonna be thinking about that. Like, I want to go to Belgium, but I want to go to the beach.
Because it's and your partner is going, why are we going to Belgium? And you're like, the lush exotic coastline. But I mean, that's the fear, right? This technology is not meant to cause harm, but how could dream incubation affect folks who have addictions to gambling or drugs or whatever compulsive behavior? If they're asleep, they don't have the ability to remove themselves from that course advertisement, and they don't have the ability to prevent exposure to known triggers. Like all of a sudden, I'm asleep, and all of a sudden I have an invasive dream about blackjack.
Uh-oh. Chumba
Yeah.
Casino.
Right. This takes native advertising to a new level. I know we're running long. Let's maybe, Matt, what do you say? Can we walk a little further into the dark?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go. The darkness of your dreams and our dreams, to be sure. What about other interfaces that we haven't thought about, that haven't been invented yet? Things, again, like we're talking about, some device, some small, probably a teeny tiny little thing that's
Mm.
ergonomic for your head when you wear it, and it's going to be comfortable at night, and you're going to want to wear it because it's going to make you sleep better. It's going to be nice.
Hmm. How can you sleep without it? Is what
Mm.
they're hoping you ask yourself after about 4 months.
Yeah. Well, then what happens when they come out with a version that, oh, well, we can actually just implant this now. You can
Hmm.
just get this in your brain the way our friend did with his drill, except it'll be in a safe surgical environment.
Yes, we're calling it uh, Trepanation Plus.
Mm.
It's part of your it's part of your U.S. Citizenship Plus membership. Imagine a world. I know it sounds like we're being weird, but imagine a world where giant tech companies like Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, they create sleep technology that becomes normalized. And maybe, what if it, to your point about everybody wearing one, what if it becomes another aspect of social media? Like in their heyday, everybody had to have a TikTok or a Facebook account. So you are expected to do this, and now you can pay extra to avoid some ads. And now these corporations who own the platform have a gargantuan new revenue stream. One of the dumbest examples. Okay, everybody has their micro sleep or their Metasoft or whatever, and now they are telling advertisers, we can get into people's dreams for you. If you
Yep.
are Mattel or Lego, how much are you going to pay for literal dream ad space across a given demographic right before Christmas?
Especially for kids. How young before you get an implant? Um,
Yeah.
Listen to Tomorrow's Monsters. That's a show created by Dan Bush, and it is about this very thing. It's an exploration of this concept of like sleep and how can we capture sleep.
Yes, I remember that. I'm a fan of Dan on a personal level. And Matt, you and he have worked together for a while. We do have another, this is a tangent, but we have another new show by Dan and team that we'd love to recommend.
Oh yeah, listen to Alive Again right now. Alive Again. Check it out. It's all about, well, it's all about a lot of things, but mostly it's near death experiences and what consciousness does when it's outside of this reality that we all experience.
Another uh, brief hypnagogic experience, right? The line between life and death. And just like dreams, emerging from an NDE has also had tremendous effect on individual lives and on the course of human history, honestly. This all goes in so many directions. We also know another concern for people who are against dream incubation is the idea that all of this tech will inevitably create another revenue stream by harvesting the user data, sleep patterns, brain activity, behavior before, after, and during sleep. And this sounds sci fi, but we have to remember this occurs in step with previously established technology, like the breakthrough back in 2013, where Japanese researchers leveraged MRI scans to go into the minds of sleeping people and generate like printouts of the images they saw while they slumbered.
That's a big no thanks for
Yeah, that's a
me.
pass. Yeah, that's a pass for me, dog. I'll
I
keep
really
that.
don't, I honestly don't even really want to know sometimes where my
I'll
dreams go.
I'll Draw it myself. If it's that important, I will. And I respect the science. It is amazing. These are brilliant, well-intentioned people, but it might be a Rubicon too far. Dreams are baffling. They're inspiring. They're joyous. They're terrifying. They're amazing. We are on the cusp of a new paradigm where, again, if you want to be optimistic about it, the bleeding edge of science is leading us to deeper, nigh spiritual questions about the nature of consciousness and the thing called the soul and how it experiences itself. Or you're going to wake up thinking, I can't believe I could get 15% off a cheeseburger today.
0% down on that new Toyota? Holy crap.
Hun, wake up. You were talking in your sleep again. Oh, what was it about? It's about the great deals for the Toyota Camry.
Oh my God. You said Honda Odyssey has their top line models on sale this month?
It's perfect for the lush, exotic coast of Belgium. We have to go. Tell us, folks, would you trade off your privacy and the secrets of your dream state? If so, what would be your price? If not, tell us why not. For a lot of us, we have to realize this is the stuff we don't want them to know. So let us know your thoughts. You can find us online, Conspiracy Stuff Show, any derivation thereof on the social meat you might sip. You can also pop by our email address or just give us a call on our telephone number.
Our number is 1-833-STDWYTK. It's a voicemail system. When you call in, give yourself a cool nickname and let us know in the message if we can use your name and message on the air. If you've got more to say that can fit in a 3-minute voicemail, maybe you've got links, maybe you've got attachments, why don't you send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back, so get hypnagogic. Join us in this liminal state. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.